Was the bigger story here, Lions win or the Bears loss?
Listen, Bears loss is a real big problem for first things first Bears and Caleb guy Danny Parkins. But that's not my problem.
I told you, Coach.
This is not my problem anymore. The bigger story is the Lions getting their swagger back, at least temporarily. I don't think the Bears falling to 0-2 ends their season. I think that if you thought the way, yeah, because, I mean, I think that people thought the Bears were going to lose when the schedule came out. We thought the Bears were going to lose this game, and you know what I mean. And so I don't think that ends their season. And I actually thought Caleb played fine. I think he played great. I think, like we said, the Caleb this year is going to be a work in progress that you hope peaks at the end of the year. But there was real concern about Detroit, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And it felt to me like that concern had gotten even to where Dan Campbell was, I don't want to say on edge, but even more, caffeinated than usual. And so the fact that they hung 50 and are able to say within the building, if there was any concern, hey, whatever effect that playoff game had on Jared, that was a one-game effect. He's now back to being Lions Jared Goff. Guess what? Ben Johnson was great for our offense, but you know what's really great for our offense? Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, Penei Sewell. You know what I mean? Like, we still have those guys. And so, to me, the Lions were teetering on the, window. Yeah, they're not a real contender. And now they at least got their swagger back, so to speak. So I think.
Yeah, this is such an interesting take for so many different reasons. I want to hear what Brew has to say and Manini, but I feel like we're just having the wrong conversation right now. Which is pretty crazy to me, but I'm curious what they said now. I think it's the Lions. Can we also all remember that the Bears last year were 5-2? They were 5-2 at the start of the season, and the first 2 games they lost were close. And then the 6th game was the Hail Mary game. That team last year was rolling early. They were 5-2, coach. Or 4, and I thought it was 4-2. 4-2, and they would have been without the hail. Yeah, it would have been 5. I'm sorry. So 4-2, they would have been 5-2, and the 2 games they lost were really close games. So they were rolling in the early part of the season. So that's a concern for me. The whole revenge angle. That's just something that they talked up in the building just to hype the guys up. I mean, the idea that you're going to get revenge because your offensive coordinator took a job to become a head coach at the opportunity that he thought was the best for him to be successful, like that's just the business. Didn't you feel like Bitch kept on running the ball against you to like stick it to you a little bit? Yeah, he had hurt feelings about it, but again, what am I going to do? Not take a head coaching job in the division? That's the nature of pro football. Opportunities are created. Guys take opportunities. This was a great opportunity for Ben, but it is something that you'll use in the building to motivate your guys. Everybody's saying we can't do it without Ben. We can do, that's more of an angle than a real revenge factor, I think. Yeah, I think it's big. Both stories are big. Like the fact, because I think all of us had the Bears in the playoffs and they still got a shot, but I do think they're in some trouble. They're not looking like, you think they're just dead, Wilds? Yeah, I think they're close to dead. Like, right now, I'm not thinking they're going to make the playoffs. But I'm with Nick. I think the Detroit story is bigger. And you did mention this, Jar. We were bringing up Jared Goff 3-1-7-1 without Sean McVay or Ben Johnson calling the plays. So for him to go out and throw 5 touchdowns and I think 300-something yards. Yeah. Listen, here's the reality. The Detroit Lions had an awesome game. They also seemingly beat a really bad team. And the Lions are good enough, as I go find my notes, where they absolutely should be just getting after teams like this. They're too good. Their roster's too good. What I had said about the Detroit Lions about potentially taking a step backwards because of losing coordinators, you got to be able to beat the lesser teams, though, still, right? You still got to be able to find your way through it. And credit to them, they did so to gigant, to the biggest way that you possibly could. And to me, this was a game that both teams were going to want to rally behind. It would have been devastating for Ben Johnson and and Caleb Williams to go in there and beat Detroit, it would have been devastating. And make no mistake about it, it was devastating for Ben Johnson to get rolled, to get absolutely rolled by the Detroit Lions and being like, oh man, that is a quarterback who knows how to play football right now. But right now it's only week 2 and they played a great team. Didn't look great. Then they played a not so good team, probably a bad team if we're going to be honest with ourselves, and the Lions were able to roll them. But again, from my viewpoint, when I'm looking at the Lions, since I've seen what the Lions are capable of doing, and I said this all throughout last season when they're rolling the Jags or the Panthers or whoever, I'm like, I don't care about that. I don't care that you're hanging 50 plus points, 40 plus points against bad teams. The only time I liked it was against the Dallas Cowboys because I loved how prepared they were. And some of the plays and some of the ways how they scored was just showing how well they execute. So I was able to really find the nuggets in that game. But a game like this, it's like I expect the Lions to be able to do this. Although again, make no mistake about it, scoring 52 points no matter who you're doing it up against is really impressive. And when Jared Goff was just absolutely on 123 for 28, 334 yards, 11.9 yards per attempt, and 5 touchdowns, and a 156 rating, right? 30 carries for 177 rushing yards, 5.9 yards per carry, 8 different receivers, and only 3 penalties. Like, that is a team that was prepared and ready. That was a team that had a wake-up call and was angry after week 1, and then now went into week 2 for a get-right game and said, Yep. But to say that this now answers all of the questions for the Detroit Lions. Number, did they get their swagger back? Yeah, I think that's fair to say. But in terms of what else they can do moving forward against better teams, against better offenses, against better defenses, that is still very much a wait-and-see situation. The good news is for the Lions big time is that the Bears aren't looking so good and the Vikings aren't looking so good, but the Packers are looking really good, but the Packers are definitely looking really good. So the season is still wide open for them. I mean, this game against the Ravens, that's going to be their next real who are the Lions, right? Because we've seen them play the Packers. Now we got to see them play the Ravens. But then they got some layups against the Browns. They shouldn't be good against the Bengals, but no Joe Burrow. They shouldn't be good against the Chiefs. I mean, who knows? You're going up against the Chiefs now. Xavier Worthy should be back, but no Rashid Rice. So, you're talking about a team that's not full strength. So, that's going to be interesting. The Buccaneers will be interesting. Again, the Vikings. You should beat them. The Commanders, Jane Daniels injured his knee. I mean, he should be back by November. I don't know if he's missing any games, but who knows? Once you kind of start to go deeper in the season now, it's kind of hard to predict things. But the Eagles should be a tough game. Giants should not. Packers, tough game. Cowboys will be a question mark in terms of how tough it will be. And then again, then you got a couple of these in-betweener games like the Rams and whatnot, but the wins are there. The wins are clearly there. But to me, it's just like I'm not necessarily looking at the Bears, at a team like the Bears or the Browns or the Bengals, to try to get a frame of reference as to how good this Lions team is. I'm looking at the game against the Ravens. I'm looking against the Chiefs. I'm looking up against the Bucks, the Commanders, the Eagles, and the Packers and the Rams, So there's a lot of which is actually good. There's a lot of good games to try to get a feel for. Okay, where do we stand as the Detroit Lions? Where do we stand? But again, make no mistake about it, a game like this is really, really important. And it's really important to build confidence and momentum and to show, hey, we can still be great. We can still hang these points. Yeah, we lost our coaches. Yeah, we had a rough game against the Packers. Doesn't mean that it's done. Doesn't mean that it's over. Doesn't mean that we're not great. We can still get after it. But now to me, the big question is how do you answer the call against the Baltimore Ravens? Because, again, you're talking about a quarterback against Caleb Williams, a first-year head coach against Ben Johnson. Like, that defense is not good. They J.J. McCarthy lit them up in the, rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy lit them up in the fourth quarter, right? Scoring, I think, what was it? 3 touchdowns, 21 points. Like, you better beat that team. You better beat that team. So that's just why, for the teams that I have stronger expectations for, I elevate the floor for how impressed I can be for a win. But again, I was impressed by that game. And it was an incredibly important Gregory game, because it's more important to do that than win a game against the Chicago Bears. 2,423, and like, Caleb didn't really play that good, and you're just like, well, you know, if Caleb was a little bit better, like, maybe the Bears win that game. Like, there was no, like, well, maybe it was like no 100% Lions controlled that game. They were clearly the better team by levels. Their quarterback was clearly better by like years. And, you know, all that matters tremendously. So, there was really only that one real touchdown given up by the Lions on blown coverage. And after that, everything else was really hard to come by for Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. Which again is important from a defensive standpoint for the Detroit Lions, because we see that the Chicago Bears offense is not operating at the highest level right now. And so to see the Detroit Lions not fall into that trap, or make a team that maybe isn't that great right now look better than they are, which is what happened with the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. It's great to see for the Detroit Lions. It's great to see. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Detroit Lions? Do you think the bigger story is that of the Lions win or the Bears lost? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.